Heavy thunderstorms and flooding rains ongoing in parts of our area, and it's only going to get more widespread for the next several days. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather, and it's nice to see you on a Thursday. Hope things are well. Coming up in this video, we have some important information to pass along. We have some ongoing flooding conditions beginning to develop in parts of our area, and that situation is only going to get more widespread and extensive as we get to the weekend. So I'm going to highlight those areas coming up, some important information to pass along. As always, I want to hear from my Meteo Mundo weather community. If you've been impacted by some of this weather lately, let me know in the comment section below where you're viewing from and what the weather has been like. As we get started, Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. When a storm comes through, hail damage, hurricane damage, wind damage, you've been in an auto accident, they can cover you. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process, offering free consultation and policy reviews. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. This is the visible satellite imagery, the live lightning data here at Meteo Mundo. We have an ample amount of tropical moisture beginning to develop. This monsoon trough here in the eastern Pacific and stream north into the area, especially over the central sides of the Caribbean. I mean, look at this blow up of tropical moisture down here that's beginning to, with southwest winds, pull into portions of the greater Antilles. It eventually will be moving off towards the east. Let me go back over to the visible satellite imagery, and I want to start off right now in the Dominican Republic and Haiti, Hispaniola, because this is the area where the flooding rains have gotten really bad in a very short amount of time on this Thursday. Again, clearly look, southwest winds at mid-levels of the atmosphere, southeast winds at the surface, the congregation of them, the lift in the atmosphere, the rich, deep tropical moisture means a ton of not just rain, but thunderstorm activity across the island. I've been monitoring the situation all day, and the flood warnings in the Dominican Republic have only gotten worse, from the moderate level to the extreme level now in some areas. The local government is talking about 4 to 5 inches of rain in some spots today. 80 to 100 millimeters is the official forecast. They're talking about, low-lying areas already filling up with water and, avoiding or evacuating from those flood-prone low-lying areas, and that there'll be additional urban flooding and street flooding and river flooding. It's a bad situation, and unfortunately, it's only going to get worse across not only the Dominican Republic, but portions of Haiti as well. We'll have the opportunity for some very heavy rains, and again, not just today, but at least the next day or two. Back to the enhanced satellite imagery, you can see that the flow overall is west to east. Some thunderstorms on the Haitian side, but more concentrated right now across the DR, especially interior locations, maybe a little bit lighter farther east, but it doesn't mean that even down towards St. Domingo, we're not going to get heavy rain and there's not going to be some urban flooding problems. It's a big issue across the area. My friends in the DR, let me know in the comments section below what you've been seeing. You have an opportunity to send me a photo about the situation to help tell the story. Mundo@gmail.com is the way to do that. Go back over to the visible satellite imagery. A few thunderstorms right now, at least some passing cloud coverage over portions of the Turks and Caicos, southeast Bahamas, towards the eastern tip of Cuba. A few thunderstorms are developing. The far western extent of this moisture does come back over Jamaica, and we are getting some showers and storms to develop there, mainly on the southern and the southwest sides. So places like St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland parishes, towards the Sav Lamar area, Black River, Negril, Cambridge, a little bit better concentration of some storms there. And again, a little bit of lightning strikes there, some heavier downpours, but we are going to see the opportunity for some of this to slip across, again, mainly the southern parishes. So I can't rule out, and you can see in the loop of the IR satellite imagery here, some cloud coverage coming back over Old Harbor, Portmore, Spanish Town, and Kingston for some showers and storms to get as far east as Kingston. A little bit more concentrated, Mandeville, Maypen, and off towards the west. Northern side of the island will be relatively dry for today. But again, my friends in this area, if you've had any showers and storms on this Thursday, let me know in the comments section below. Want to actually start and turn our way back east, because as I've mentioned, this moisture with this huge trough is going to push off towards the east, and eventually places like Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands are going to be right back into the opportunity for more heavy flooding rains. Numbers that you see are wind gusts. The winds are already beginning to freshen up. Let's take a live look at the radar here out of southeast Puerto Rico. You're going to see some pretty heavy storms coming off of Punta Cana over the Mona Passage and then trying to work their way back into the western sides of PR right now from Aguadilla towards Mayaguez. And this is only going to be building. The Weather Service out of San Juan has already issued what they call a hydraulic outlook for Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, basically letting residents be aware that as we get into the weekend, that flooding rains are more than likely to develop across the area. So we got to watch out for urban and small stream flooding and even some landslides and some mudslides. And again, it's been wet in this area. We've had a bit of a reprieve over the last couple of days, but we haven't been completely dry. As a matter of fact, Marilyn sent me a photo here from the St. Croix area. You can see some of those shower clouds moving on through the area. Love the colors of the residents as well. What a beautiful shot. Appreciate Marilyn helping to tell the weather story there in the U.S. Virgin Islands on the island of St. Croix. And again, for my friends in St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, Yost Van Dyke, Roadtown, Virgin Gorda area, Anegada, got to get prepared for additional heavy rain to begin to move in. Some of that could be developing tonight, overnight, and certainly throughout the day tomorrow and over the weekend. And I'll have more on that coming up in just a second. Into the Lesser Antilles. By the way, you would obviously imagine that as these storms come through, marine conditions are going downhill as well, right? We're going to see some small craft advisory. We're going to see some high seas and long period swells. You can also see the interaction of both the mid-level and low-level winds here in the Leeward Islands, where we've had some passing showers developing for today. But again, same situation as I mentioned for areas off towards the west, that the bulk of the heavy tropical moisture is still yet to come, and this area is going to get extremely wet over the weekend as well. So if we haven't seen a lot of rain in some areas from Anguilla to Antigua, Barbuda, St. Bart's, Saba, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, down south towards Montserrat, the rain is coming. We've had locally heavy rain develop over portions of Guadalupe, Dominica, Martinique for today, where we've had some wind gusts 25 to 30 miles an hour, some scattered showers over St. Lucia. Looks to be fairly fast moving rain for today. Same thing, man. Again, a passing shower over Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We've had some concentrations of heavier rain from time to time in Trinidad and Tobago, and my friends in those areas have let me know about that as well. And again, the entire Lesser Antilles chain will see this deep tropical moisture coming back in, so it's time to get prepared in some spots for locally heavy rainfall beginning tomorrow. Scattered rain trying to move up towards Nueva Esparta. One area that won't mind the shower and storm chance is going to be our friends in the ABC Islands, trying to drift a little bit of moisture over the islands right now. Aruba with some gusty winds, but generally speaking, we've still been relatively dry at this point in time. Look at the blow up of thunderstorms here on the northern side of this monsoon trough. Again, we've mentioned how this has been very active. There's been an area of low pressure sitting off of the Colombian coastline. Now it's a little bit more into our area, and it's a little bit more expansive, and that's why we're beginning to tap into some of that moisture. I mean, you can clearly see the moisture feed coming right back into the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Now you get north of all of this, and I mentioned this in yesterday's video, and we really do begin to dry out. The air is just so much drier right now from Honduras on up towards Guatemala and Belize and the rest of the Yucatan Peninsula here. Take a look at the temperatures on the board for you right now. So as you dry out, you get hotter. Temperatures are in the triple digits Fahrenheit in some areas. San Ignacio, Belize, once again hit 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Western and central sides of Cuba have been relatively dry. Moisture has been relatively confined to portions of the central and the southeast Bahamas for today. The air is actually drying out, but earlier in the day, you can see that we had some localized blow up of some showers and storms near Cat Island, San Salvador, Rum Key, Exuma, Long Island, some of the areas with the opportunity. And I've got a great photo to show you from that area from Grand Exuma. Comalsons is this shot from the airport there. Boy, that's a really low-hanging cloud. I call those SLCs, some scary-looking clouds. And look at all of that heavy rain embedded within that. Here's someone who knows how to frame a photo, guys. You got the Bahamian flag in the foreground, and you got that really, really healthy thunderstorm in the background. Appreciate Kamal and Marilyn from St. Croix sending in those photos. Again, mymediamundo@gmail.com is the way to do that. Talk more about that coming up. As we get into the forecast, thanks for liking this video. Appreciate you joining the Media Mundo weather community by subscribing to the channel. Thanks for sharing this channel with your family and friends. Appreciate those who find ways to support the channel. You want to find another way to support me, got another channel. It's a new one. It's called Weather Express. It's a daily 5-minute forecast across the United States. So if you have any interest or you live in the United States and you want to follow me over there, you can find a link to that new channel in the video description here below at Media Mundo. And I appreciate those who have gone to that channel and subscribed as well. Okay, friends, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get into the local 3-day forecast. I've got your island by island rain chances coming up. We'll take a look at that and then look a little bit deeper into the tropical outlook for the week ahead. But obviously in the near term, I have a lot of concern about what's going to be continuing happening over Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and eventually all into the Lesser Antilles, because you notice that this moisture is beginning to develop even farther to the south. And then our friends in the ABC Islands will have the opportunity for some rain as well. Maybe not the inundation of rain that we're going to see a little bit farther to the north and to the east, but the opportunity for our central and our eastern areas is only going to get greater as we get into the weekend. I want to make sure I highlight that even kind of what we're seeing right now in the Dominican Republic is a possibility in many other areas for the next 2 to 3 days. So here's how it plays out on the model. You're just going to continue to see this huge area, which is being supported by some broad mid-level rotation, swing its way off towards the east, which is why we're going to get more of the Lesser Antilles involved. At the same time, surface winds are going to turn out of the south, and we're going to pull in all of this moisture from places like Suriname and Guyana along the northern coastline of South America and lift that into the Windward Islands. So in general, from Anguilla all the way down towards Trinidad and Tobago, and again, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, it is going to get wet. It's going to get stormy, with the opportunity for some of this rain to be too much and too short of an amount of time to provide us more flooding conditions. And again, I've taken this out 3 days, basically until Sunday night, but you can just see the wet weather moving across these areas. This is going to be a huge blanket of tropical moisture. There's no real one area to kind of focus in on right now, but the GFS model has really decided that it gets far enough south. I mean, there's a much farther northern extent to this, but the heavy rain gets far enough south where it's going to impact Anguilla and Ceiba and St. Martin and St. Bart's and Barbuda and Antigua and St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat. And all of the local bulletins I've been reading today have all been basically advising residents that, look, it's coming, so start to get prepared. There's not really any watches or warnings up yet, except for the Dominican Republic, but all of these areas, you need to be very weather aware the next several days. Check in with your local officials, because there probably will be some form of flood advisories coming out for these areas with the amount of rain that I'm expecting in these locations. I mean, look, even down towards Dominica and Martinique and St. Lucia, again, I've mentioned everything. If you don't get the huge surge of moisture moving out of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, you have the opportunity for that secondary area developing to the south. Now, this may not get into St. Lucia and Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines and TNT until late Saturday, Sunday, but Sunday could be an extremely wet day. All right. I can tell you right now, out of Barbados, the Meteorological Service there is already highlighting Sunday for the opportunity for some extremely wet weather. Nueva Esparta will see the rain build into that area. The ABC Islands will also see some showers right now. Again, not as concerned about any flooding conditions for Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. These are areas that actually could use some rain, and hopefully that opportunity will come along for the ride. Now, again, Panama, Costa Rica, areas that continue to see flooding rains from this broad monsoon trough. Once again, do we get a spin that develops with this? We'll talk more about that coming up. Areas north of there, from Nicaragua toward Honduras, Belize, places like Belize City, and even up towards Quintana Roo, Chechmal, Cozumel, Cancun. It's a virtually dry forecast. Scattered rain for Jamaica. It's not going to be a ton. We'll have a few scattered showers passing by. Still going to favor southern islands. I mentioned this in yesterday's video again. The winds should actually be coming a little bit out of the northeast through the Windward Passage, which would favor the storms kind of developing on the northern coastline, but becoming a lot more concentrated on the southern parishes here. So kind of the cloud coverage developing on the northern coast, but really things don't get going until you get down to the southern parishes. A little bit more of a breeze the next couple of days as well. Now, again, for the Dominican Republic, still at least one more day of heavy rainfall, but potentially Saturday could be rough as well. Hopefully improving conditions through the day on Saturday, but These flood warnings that are currently in effect will probably not go anywhere for tomorrow, as additional heavy rain is likely to develop. And again, some spots in just a one-day total could have 4 to 5 inches of rain, maybe 100 to 125 millimeters. It's a dire situation in some locations that we're already seeing extreme flood warnings issued. So it's a big problem there. Scattered rain is a possibility for the Cayman Islands. I'm not expecting much. Turks and Caicos have the opportunity for a few scattered showers. You get up into the Bahamas after kind of the localized rain for today. The next few days should be relatively dry. Bermuda will have the opportunity for a couple of showers today, kind of drier tomorrow. You can see that rain kind of coming through today and tomorrow, drier as we get into Saturday, and then maybe a few more passing showers on Sunday. But again, this is a very large area. And friends, do you get the idea that we've really flipped the switch? We've now thrown a lot of tropical moisture back into our area. And although this shows no signs of becoming a depression or a tropical storm, this is a disturbance, a tropical disturbance with rich, deep tropical moisture. We may not get the wind fields that we would see from a depression or a storm, but we are certainly going to get the amount of rain in a lot of spots. So here's how it plays out island by island. Northwest Bahamas, fairly dry through Sunday. Nice weekend ahead. Central and Southeast Bahamas, few more showers tomorrow. Drier Saturday, Sunday. Isolated rain for Turks and Caicos. Showers and storms mainly on the eastern side of Cuba right on through the weekend as well. Again, these are our driest locations across our area. Cancun and Cozumel, Belize City, the Cayman Islands, all with very low rain chances. It means it's going to be hot, as I've mentioned. So be prepared for that, especially in inland locations. For Jamaica, still just got a 30% chance, favoring southern parishes through the weekend ahead as well. We might kind of turn that back to eastern parishes beginning on Sunday. But look at the rain chances for places like the Dominican Republic. 90 tomorrow, still 70 Saturday, 50 on Sunday. Wet, wet, wet. Puerto Rico, U.S. and British Virgin Islands, the opportunity for some extensive rainfall in these areas through the weekend ahead. Showers tomorrow in Bermuda, again on Sunday. Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, rain chances will build. Obviously, with that moisture heading from west to east, you get a little bit farther east, your rain chances elevate over the weekend and stay higher. Same situation for Antigua and Barbuda. Again, these are tremendous rain chances to put on the board here in May. But it looks like it's going to play out where we have widespread heavy rain throughout the weekend in these areas. Dominica, Martinique, an 80% chance on Sunday. Again, building rain chances. Look, we're starting off St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines tomorrow at 50%, which is not bad, but we're going to end the weekend at 80%. Same thing for Barbados. Again, that slug of moisture coming in from the south builds the rain chances through the Windward Islands. Extremely wet over Suriname and Guyana. Look at Nueva Esparta's rain chances build up to 60% chance on Sunday. Still somewhat isolated in the ABC Islands Friday, Saturday, but I am hoping for better rain chances there on Sunday, up to a 50% clip. Obviously, boaters need to stay weather aware. Watch out for the thunderstorm activity, but in this large area of rain, we're going to have some healthy winds as well. It's going to kick up sea conditions. Again, small craft advisories will more than likely come along for the ride as well. Generally speaking, the farther west that you go, the better the weather is going to be. For places like the Bay Islands there on the coastline of Honduras, things should be pretty nice. Rainfall totals, European model. I'm going to get right back over this side of the map because this is where the active weather is going to be, friends. Take a look at all of this dark maroon on the board. 4-6 inches of rain locally. Again, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, portions of the Lesser Antilles. Now, the interesting thing is the European model has the Leeward Islands a little bit drier. I don't think that that's going to happen. I mean, if this moisture is going to get as far east as Anegada, it's probably heading towards Anguilla as well. We just don't really have that much of a difference as far as mileage there between those two islands. Very heavy flooding rains continuing again, southern sides of Central America. You're a lot drier the farther north and west that you go. That's the European model. Let's compare and contrast with the GFS model. Again, these are rainfall totals, and this is what I'm talking about over that same time frame where the GFS model, and I tend to agree with what we've seen, has a lot more rain for the Lesser Antilles overall. Now again, can we handle 4 inches of rain? Possibly, but if this falls in a relatively short amount of time, that could lead to some localized flooding. And of course, it's island dependent. Terrain has a lot to do with it as well. Flatter islands will tend to do a little bit better. Those with higher terrain that get into low-lying areas and flood-prone problems, you get the idea. Look at this slug of 6 inches of rain just offshore, but I mean widespread 4+ inches of rain here in a lot of spots of Puerto Rico. There's your bullseye of over 4. Again, we talked about 4 to 5. I mean, there's just so much of the Dominican Republic that is just going to continue to get wet weather. And I want to be clear about something. This does not take into account the rain that has already fallen today. This is in addition to what's already on the board. So that's the other problem. You're adding again, double the amount of rain that we've already seen in a couple of these spots. On the Haitian side, again, shouldn't be as much, but even right along the border, several inches of rain are likely, and you can see, is there the opportunity, right? And we mentioned this before that, look, the GFS model has 5-6 inches of rain just northeast of Anguilla. That could easily fall over the islands, right? We kind of average this out, but this is just a ton of rain for this time of the year, and we just follow this right on down the island chain, right? Where again, pockets of heavy rain, though not as widespread, likely for all the islands that I mentioned, and then back to Trinidad and Tobago. This surge of moisture from the south could lead to some significant rain over the next several days, especially beginning on Sunday. Might be still more scattered tomorrow and Saturday, but look at this, more than a foot of rain just south of Trinidad. So we'll have to keep an eye out for TNT in the days ahead. Nueva Esparta, some scattered showers. Again, I'm not expecting a ton of rain over the ABC Islands, but let's get a few showers there for our friends there. Flooding rains continue for Costa Rica and Panama, and you still have all of this tremendous water coming off of the Eastern Pacific. Again, north and west will be much drier across those areas. So now let's get into the broader perspective here over the next 7 days. I want to take this out a full 7 days. First of all, we've got to continue to mention how much more rain could fall in these areas, and then if there's anything tropically that's going to develop. Again, tropical moisture is in play. It is back, and it is very healthy. The one thing that I do not see for the week ahead is any true organized areas. But again, outside of getting the winds associated with the depression or tropical storm, the amount of rain that could fall in the central and the eastern sides of our area is going to be astonishing in some spots. I hope it's not extremely widespread, some of the highest rainfall totals that we've been looking at, but you can clearly see, and again, even as we get into next week, look how this rich, deep tropical moisture doesn't fade very quickly. It might fade a bit, but it doesn't fade much. This system might actually start a little bit of a mid-level spin into the central Atlantic, but it's moving away from our area. Still going to be watching the Eastern Pacific for signs of any rotation here. Whether we get Alvin or not, again, it might pull some moisture away from our northwest areas, which would keep those areas drier. And hopefully, again, the spots that we see that have the best opportunity for extremely heavy rain right now, we'll start to see some drier weather by mid next week. But that being said, a lot of those areas will probably still stay fairly wet and a higher rainfall chance in the coming days as well. So trying to bring up here for you guys the mid-level vorticity. It may not be cooperating. If it doesn't, I'll bring up the winds if I can here real quick. Again, we'll see if I try to switch this thing mid-model, so that might be my bad. Yep. I can bring up the reflectivity. Let me try the vorticity one more time. This would just be the spin in the atmosphere. We look at this all the time, but every so often here when I'm in the middle and I want to switch on the fly, it does that. It's not going to work. The bottom line is, even though we'll see some areas of mid-level spin, I don't expect anything to get down to the lowest levels, okay? So we talked about this area moving away, probably a broader mid-level spin here. I would be a little bit more concerned about the Southwest Caribbean and trying to wrap something up on the northern side of the monsoon trough with that persistent low off of the Colombian coastline, but I don't really see anything low level so far. So more than likely, we won't have any true tropical development over the next 7 days, but regardless, look at all that rain, central and east. Friends, I appreciate you guys. You can follow us across all social media, Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. Once again, help me tell the weather story in your area. Send me a picture or video. MyMediaMundo@gmail.com is the easiest way to do that. You can certainly send us a message on our Facebook page or the other social media platforms. That's where we actually got the photo from Maryland today. But again, easiest way, MiamiMediaMundo@gmail.com. As always, Media Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They are your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. Anything that could impact you or your property, they'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. As always, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. I do appreciate while you're down there quickly hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel if you have not as of yet. Friends, please stay safe. Have a great rest of your Thursday. I'm back tomorrow with what's going to be happening across our area right here for you at Media Mundo.